Ladies, have you been wanting to make a change, but you don't feel ready? Here's the truth. Readiness is a lie. The model of confidence for women is backward, and we need to flip it. I'm Cara Moeller Poppitt, author of a new book, Big Freaking Change. After coaching thousands of women, I discovered action gives us confidence, not the other way around. If we wait to feel ready, we'll wait forever. So if you're ready to get unstuck and step into the life you've always dreamed about, visit bigfreakingchange.com right now and order your copy. Welcome to the Big Freaking Change podcast, where we dive deep into the stories of those who took bold action, embraced uncertainty, and transformed their lives without ever feeling ready. I'm your host, Cara Moeller Poppitt, author of The Big Freaking Change and the creator of the Get Unstuck Cycle of Change model. Each week, we'll sit down with remarkable individuals who have taken bold steps in their lives, personally and professionally, to make meaningful change. Whether you're seeking a career shift, personal growth, or a boost in confidence, our goal is to inspire you to stop waiting and start taking action. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Big Freaking Change. I'm your host, Cara Moeller Poppitt, and I'm so delighted to be here with an incredible entrepreneur, Mike Michalowicz. Mike, thank you for joining me today.
Cara, I am so happy you're doing this. Glad to be here.
Taking action. And, Mike, you're not just an entrepreneur, you are an author. You are the creator of Profit First. And I'd love for you just to share a little bit more about the work you're doing. I know you have so many different books, Get Different. You really have a heart to serve entrepreneurs and get them out of poverty and into a great life, being passionate and professional.
So yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. That's amazing bio introduction. Yeah, we were talking about this off air. I am on this mission to eradicate entrepreneurial poverty. And the reason I'm on this mission is my own struggles with an entrepreneur. Never been a great entrepreneur. Didn't grow up in a family of entrepreneurs. Like didn't grow up in rags and became rich. Like none of that stuff. It was just meh. But I fell into entrepreneurship and struggled with it. And then one day woke up after losing everything, thinking I was actually getting pretty good at this, realizing I had learned nothing. And it became the great reset for me. I remember the day, it was February 14th, 2008, and I went through a great reset and decided to start studying everything around entrepreneurship. Every book I've written is something that I've struggled with myself or don't understand, find a solution that works for me, and then I codify it into a book. Most businesses aren't profitable. 83% of small business in the US defined by a company that does $25 million in revenue or less. That's like most of us. There's 35 million in the US. Globally, there's 375 million. Almost all these businesses are not profitable. Nor was I. Well, what's wrong with us? There's nothing wrong with us. The formula tells us that profit comes last. But when something comes last, we ignore it. So I'm like, oh, profit has to come first. If you take it first, you'll always get it, and then you'll reverse engineer your business. So every book I write is around something that's not working for me. And if it doesn't work for other people either, when I find the solution, I write about it and share it.
It's incredible. It's incredible, your work and your heart to serve. And what people may not know about you, Mike, is you also have some mad dance moves.
Dude, I don't know why you effing say that, because I'm like the suckiest dancer ever. I've watched your videos of you dancing and getting other people on the stage. I'm like, oh, that dweeb, some other guy, he can dance. I was like horrible. The only thing I did was I had a rose between my teeth. I was trying to impress you. I was really trying to impress you.
It was solid. Mike brought me on to speak at his Profit First conference. And the night before, I was in the hotel room with my sister, and I'm going over my intro and like how I want to start this, because it's a different market. They're all accountants, financial advisors, right? So I have this idea. Jenna's like, you should ask Mike if he'll dance with you. I'm like, yeah, I should. So I text you, Mike, are you open to dance? You're like, yes, bring it on, whatever. And you just took it to the next level. And that's who I think you are as an entrepreneur. You take everything to the next level. There is no average for you. It's like always up level, and you inspire people to go for it.
Oh, thanks. Maybe. I just think that I just want to unabashedly be myself. I think that's inspiring for many people. I think, who was it that said most people live lives of quiet desperation? It's the reality. Most of us have this inner side screaming to get out in whatever capacity it is, but we just keep squashing it. And there's this quiet desperation going on. So I just feel like, whatever presents itself, jump on it. Yeah, I'm scared and nervous too, but I think maybe it'll inspire other folks to unabashedly be themselves.
That's the journey. That's the work we have to do in life, is to be ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And unfolding. Mike, I'd love to talk to you about Profit First specifically because you did do something extraordinary and you're looking at the market and accounting practices in a completely different lens, and you're encouraging businesses to take profit first rather than the leftovers. And I know for dance studio owners, there's a lot of people that follow your method and it's changed their lives. So I believe that when people have more financial freedom and they have that security and that peace, all aspects of their life change. But what I'm assuming is that most entrepreneurs don't feel ready to make that shift of, okay, I'm going to open up all these accounts. I'm going to learn this discipline. So talk to me about that.
Oh gosh, it frustrates me so much, Cara. So I survey audiences regularly and ask them, why did you start a business? There's always three answers, and it's not all three for all people, but it often is the mix of these. First, I started my business for financial freedom, meaning I don't want to worry about bills. Secondly, I started for personal freedom. I want to be able to do what I want when I want. Thirdly, it's impact. I want to be of service to others. And I ask the same audiences, well, what's the results? I'm not financially free. In fact, I've never been so cash strapped in my life. I am panicked how to pay bills. I have no personal freedom. I'm working my tail off constantly. And impact, forget it. It's all about survival. I can't even think of others when I can barely put food on my own table and I'm exhausted. So we're missing these parts. That's why I created Profit First. The core system is when revenue comes to your company, take a percentage of that money, 5, 10, 15%, whatever you deem you want your profit to be, hide it away from your business, and your business will force you to operate the business the way it's intended to operate off of what's available for operating expenses. Then people hear the system, they say, oh, that makes sense. How do you do it? You have to do it at your bank. It's called a behavioral intercept. So, quick backstory, I think it was almost 20 years ago. I used to play sports in college and stuff, but then after that, kind of got a little schlumpy. And about 20 years ago, I said, I got to get back into this. And so I said, I'm just going to use discipline, just the old way, run the hills and get stuff. Yeah, that lasted for a day, my discipline. What I noticed is I'd wake up in the morning, go to the bathroom, make a cup of coffee, scroll through the news, and then I'd be off to work, but I wasn't working out. I looked at an established pattern. Wake up, go to the bathroom. I said, what can I do to intercept that? I put my sneakers on my toilet seat. So when I wake up in the morning, the only way I can use the toilet is by grabbing the sneakers. And when the sneakers in my hand, now momentum kicks in. I put my feet. I'm like, just head down to the gym just for a little bit. Well, the same with your business. The natural pattern is to log into your bank account. Almost every business owner does that. We skip the accounting numbers and the spreadsheets and stuff. We log into our bank account. That's the bathroom. We need to put the sneakers there. And what the sneakers are multiple accounts. So one account for profit, one for your operating expenses, one for if you need equipment, called equipment, one for taxes, a big bill we have, one to pay yourself a salary versus a share in profit, which is different. Now, when you log into your bank account, you see what accounts are available and you carve the money up accordingly on a percentage basis every time deposits come in. And to your point, Cara, some people are like, oh, that seems so burdensome. It's so difficult. It's putting sneakers on a toilet seat. It's funny. Our accounting systems are 100 times more complex. They have general ledgers, dozens or hundreds of accounts that we don't pay attention to. I'm consolidating it down. We're doing it at your bank so you can never miss it. And then you'll know exactly what to do with the money. Last little tip here is that even that feels overwhelming. Anyone listening to your podcast right now, Cara, can do one step and become permanently profitable. Go to your bank, your existing bank, set up one account, call it profit, and allocate a small percentage, maybe just 1% for now of any deposit. So $1,000 comes in, you put $10 in there. That's 1%. Now you have a $10 cash profit, which maybe you never had one before. So that's something to celebrate. And the next day, maybe there's 10 more dollars in there. Over time, you'll see that you can take your profit first. Then we change that from 1% to 2, 3, 7, whatever it is, and introduce other accounts. We have about 1.1 million businesses globally doing profit first now. And
Wow.
almost, yeah, it's amazing. I'm actually heading out to Ireland right after this to speak
Wow.
to Irish entrepreneurs about profit first. And what's amazing is most of them started very slowly with one or two accounts and they built into the system over time.
That's inspiring. And I think when you talk about the shoes on the toilet and building that momentum, it's a habit. We have to create a habit of discipline. We have to create a habit of putting the allocation aside and not touching it and building the life that we really want and building a business that supports our life. Because like you said, so many entrepreneurs start because they're passionate about what they do. They want financial freedom. They want the luxury of time and they don't get any of that. And it's really hard and it's really sad to see. I know a lot of passionate entrepreneurs will justify, well, I'm so passionate about it, so I'll do it at a discount, or I'm so passionate about it, so I'll give it
Yeah.
away. And I'm always like, passion is a premium. Like when you are passionate about something, you need to charge more because there's so much value in what you bring. People feel the energy, they feel the calling, they feel the essence. And I think entrepreneurs need to remember that, because usually we start a business because we're so passionate about something.
And there's this perverted self-sacrifice that you just
Yeah.
indicated, like, I'll do this at a discount or I'll do it for free because I love my customer. But here's the consequence of that. First of all, when you offer something to someone else at no cost, there's no value. So there's very little value perception. That's why for most businesses, the lowest dollar paying customers are usually the most difficult also to deal with. But there's something even more or greater of a consequence is you can't sustain. Meaning, if you're not making enough profit, if you're not sustaining yourself, how can you give all yourself when you can't sustain? The analogy I like to use is doctors. Imagine I'm rushed to the hospital because of a heart situation. I come to the hospital and they're like, this guy's dying, and two doctors come out. Doctor one comes out and says, my passion is to care for customers who have heart problems and heart attacks. I actually do it for free. I don't make any money, and I'm actually don't even know how to pay and put food on the table, and I'm behind my mortgage on 3 months, and let's just do this because I need a lot of customers, honestly. Or Doctor two comes out and she says, I'm very profitable. In fact, the only thing I do is heart surgeries. I do exactly the situation you have. I charge a premium for it because I'm so good at it. I'm very profitable. I have no worries, no concerns. All I care about is solving your situation right now. Which doctor are you going to choose? Passion doctor who is not making money, or someone who's devoted to the craft and is proud to be profitable? Pretty much option two. Listen, that's when my life's on the line, right? So I want a doctor who's going to save my life. But any business, yours, mine, any business provides services that is life altering for certain customers. We do coaching around profitability, and maybe that doesn't serve all customers, but for the right customer who sees it as life altering, they want the world's best. So your listeners, all of us, we need to charge a premium that keeps us in the profit realm constantly, because that's the best way, the only way to be constantly and fully present for our customer.
So, Mike, working with over 1.1 million companies that are using Profit First, that's such a huge number. Talk to me about the changes that you're seeing in their lives. So, once they get the Profit First method down, they start enjoying their business more, their relationships change, their financial freedom, their decisions. Like, talk to me about the change and the impact that it's making.
I'll give you two stories, and I haven't worked with all 1.1 million. It's through our network. We have a lot of accountants and bookkeepers that do this, the book circulation. But I have had the chance to personally work with a few companies. So I'll give you a couple, two stories. My favorite story, because they're such a popular brand now, is called the Savannah Bananas. They're a baseball
Yeah.
team. You know them?
Yes.
They've exploded in popularity. Well, 8, 9 years ago, I got a call from Jesse Cole, the founder, with his wife Emily, and they had just acquired the Savannah Sand Gnats. That was their prior name, the baseball team. And he said, we're doing Profit First. Emily and Jesse were in a home on a blow up mattress. That's the only piece of furniture they had. I actually stayed at their house with them where the blow up mattress was, and they did Profit First. When they did it, they couldn't afford to maintain the scoreboard, the electricity, the maintenance, because an average small baseball game, these are like all-star teams, maybe you get 300 or 400 people in the audience. You charge $10 a ticket. And the people are coming are like the parents of the players. So you get $3,000 a game. You got to pay for everything. $3,000 is not enough. And they're taking profit. So he said, we can't have a scoreboard. So what are we going to do? And he says, you know what? We're going to do it like about between a boxing match. We're going to have someone walk around with numbers. They want to do entertainment. They said, we can't afford entertainers. We're going to have the fans become entertainers. They started the Grandma Bananas. You had to be 80 years or older, and teeth were optional, to be honest, to be on the field. And people lost their mind. It was so much fun. Now, I'm not saying Profit First triggered that inspiration or that innovation. Jesse and Emily are the greatest innovators in the world. Jesse's always had this vision of being the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball, and they've arrived. They are there now. But they started with Profit First, and they still live it. They are the most profitable on a percentage basis baseball team in the world, bigger than the major leagues. They make so much money, and they sell out stadiums bigger than the major leagues. They're performing in football stadiums because the major league baseball stadiums can't handle them. It's too big for that. So they're my favorite story because they explode in popularity, and I'm proud that Profit First was a small part of the story. But another story out of Australia is Canberra, which I think is the capital city in Australia. And a couple wrote me and they just said, you saved our marriage. And I'm like, okay, never met him, never talked to him. It was just a book. And what's unfortunate is when there is cash stress, it's a major wound, and anything is salt in the wound, and it can really compromise relationships. Well, this couple decided as a last ditch effort to apply Profit First. And what was interesting is the business didn't get better. It was still generating the same revenue, But now the system was the enemy, if you will. When they had to make decisions, the system said, we can't afford this now, or we have to wait. It wasn't one of them. So there was no conflict. They actually became a team working against or with the profit first system. Then they started driving more profitability as a result because better decisions were being made, not out of conflict, out of concentration. And they said their marriage was saved. The business subsequently became very profitable. They raised thoroughbred horses, and the business continues to thrive. So that's another favorite story. One that we'll never hear of is actually stories like that are the ones that light me up the most.
Pretty significant. You know, you
Yeah.
never realize the impact you can have when you write a book, when
You
you,
never know, dude.
yeah,
Your book right now, Cara, someone is reading it somewhere in the world that you'll never have the privilege to meet, who will never speak with you, and you've served them in some way. You've given them that shift. I love books. I love them. Hence, read. Everyone should be reading.
yeah. So tell me about your latest book.
My latest book is called The Money Habit. I'm really proud of this one. I feel it's the best book I've ever written. It's the first time I ever had the publisher, the actual publisher at the publishing company, call me and say, "Holy cow!" And I've been with, I've published 10 books now or 11. What this book is about is profit first translated to personal finances. Why I originally did it was not why I actually ultimately did it. I originally did it because I noticed with Profit First, entrepreneurs were becoming profitable. But if their home finances were still too large for their lifestyle or not working out, I noticed the home leached off the business. So even a healthy business would still collapse if the home finances weren't there. And the reverse is true too. Strong home finances, bad business, the business leaches off the home. So I wrote it for, originally I was writing this for entrepreneurs. But then I got a call from a garage door installing company. The guy's name was Tommy, and Tommy calls and says, "Hey, we're doing Profit First, and I want to teach my employees this. Can you teach them?" And I said, "Why?" He said, "You got to understand, my employees have financial struggles, and the problem is they keep coming to me saying, 'I need raises, I need more money.' That's never the solution. I can't afford to keep giving more. It'll put our company under, but it's not fixing it. They don't have financial independence because they don't have financial control. Can you give it to them?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "How, was it 5, 6 employees you have?" He says, no, it's about 900 employees. It's called A1 Garage. They have 900 employees. We set up a program. I worked personally with about 30 employees there, and we transformed them. What I found in personal finances is there is a very similar pattern. We do bank balance accounting. We log into our bank account to make determinations. So sure enough, we're going to set up multiple accounts at our personal level. But there are some other elements that are different than an entrepreneur's life with Profit First. You don't have that volatility of income. You have a more predictable income. You're salaried. A lot of people come in with debt, so we have to recover from debt and then want to think about their future. There's things I call seasons that we need to address, but it's effectively the Profit First system translated to personal finance.
That's brilliant. And what I'm noticing, so many people lack the financial literacy and lack the understanding of saving and having that discipline. Because when we have that discipline, no matter the amount, it's the practice. It's like flexing that muscle.
For sure.
That's how we can make change. And it often starts with education.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. The traditional education in personal finance is deprivation is one. Compromise your life, cut down, do less. The problem with deprivation is it's like diets. It works for a period of time until we go into cheat mode. There is a behavioral mechanism where we retaliate because we
Yeah.
don't like authority or control over us, particularly when a system says you have to do this. So
Yeah.
most diets fail. And most personal finance that's deprivation based fails. The second part is spreadsheet based or some kind of unique system that's outside of our behavioral path. They're interesting, they're insightful, but since they're not natural, we log into our bank accounts, they're avoided, so they fail. So I said, we need something that works with our natural behavior. I was saying, don't change behavior, channel existing behavior to get the outcomes you want. So the money habit, you keep logging into your bank account as you always have and you always will. There's some system changes at your bank, any bank, and sure enough, you're going to start driving a financially independent lifestyle.
Yes. So talk to me about what it means to be financially independent. Like how do you define that and what's the ripple effect?
Financially independent means that you have clarity over your cash, which gives you control, and control alleviates worry. There was an interesting phenomenon when it came to, unfortunately, women with breast cancer. There was a study, and they found that when women were in the diagnosis phase and they didn't know if they had breast cancer or not, their worry was about 5 times greater than when they were diagnosed with cancer. People were more afraid of finding out what the situation was than knowing the situation. And the reason was once they knew they had breast cancer, then they could invoke a plan to go forward. The thing about financial independence is I'm not saying you were going to get, here's a lottery ticket, you just won $10 million, that's financial independence. No, Financial independence is knowing your situation inside and out so you can have a plan going forward. But the second thing is, and it kind of ties into lotteries, when I was interviewing people, most people said, if I could just win like a couple $1,000,000 on the lottery, that's life changing. Well, I did the research. Every person, at least in the modern first world, I guess, has won the lottery. The average income, at least on a US worker, is $50,000 a year times 40 years. That's $2 million. On average, and if you make more than 50,000, you're getting more than $2 million. On average, everyone's getting $2 million during their lifetime. So if you're getting $2 million, you already won the lottery. The question is, how do you manage that winning? And so we're going to set up a system that does that. Now, I'm not saying you can do these. You can go buy that luxury yacht you've always been dreaming about. No, that's not cash clarity. You'll understand. You can listen. If that's what you aspire to do, you're going to set up a luxury yacht account, and money will start allocating there. But you're going to see, oh, your time frame may be a 30-year time frame to get there, or maybe it's not even realistic. Or if you want to speed it up, what are you willing to compromise or adjust elsewhere? So it gives you this cash clarity, and then you can make decisions in the moment that will improve what you want for the future.
Yeah. And it's really about empowerment, right? Really having a
It really
clear
is.
snapshot of your reality and where you want to go and what are you prepared to do to get to your goals or to change your lifestyle to support where you want to go.
Yeah, and it prevents the biggest weak spot, the Achilles heel. It's called Parkinson's law. As your income increases, the natural tendency is spend increases at the exact same rate. So I get a raise, amazing. The next day, where's all that money go? Because I expanded my lifestyle. Now, if I get a decline in income, loss aversion, another behavioral tendency, prevents us from reducing. So if I ever get a cutback in salary, well, I can't lose my house. I can't cut back on my car. And there's a gap, and the only way to cover that gap is through debt. This is an American-based study, but a atrocious number of people who have debt, and it's because of this loss aversion. So the money habit gives you this cash clarity. It's going to force some hard internal conversations and decisions today, but before you get to the crisis moment.
Yeah. And I remember reading a study about people that won the lottery and, won $2 million that they ended up spending it all, right? And their life was the same. And I think it was like 10 years later, their life was exactly the same. And it's because that habit of discipline and that clarity wasn't set. So it becomes irrelevant. Like,
Totally. I actually talk about the research on lottery winners in the book. What's
yeah,
interesting is some lottery winners become happier as a result of the win and some don't. What was the only difference? The ones who had a happier lifestyle subsequent to the lottery win had cash management tools or receiving direct cash management advice that they followed. The ones who didn't are the ones who actually ended up less happy or miserable as a result of their win.
wow, that's
Yeah.
so significant. Talk to me about the emotions that are connected to money. So whether you're an entrepreneur or you're just managing your personal finances, what's the statistics and the studies around the emotional attachment to money?
Yeah, so money means significance to most people. So the correlation is money represents who I am, but the reality is money is a tool to express who you are. So it's not part of you, it's an expression tool. Actually, my studies found that money is an amplifier. So if I have a horrible habit, I was going to pick something, I have an addiction to some kind of drug. When I get more money, it's not like all of a sudden I have a happier or better life. I will double down on my addiction. So it amplifies my existing habit. But if I already have a good, whatever I define as a good life, and more money comes, I'll lean into that goodness of life. So it amplifies who you are. This is no surprise, but the lack of awareness always brings about fear. We talked about the study with cancer patients, and it's the lack of awareness and therefore sense of control over money is the biggest fear driver. The biggest worry that people have is financial worry. I have what's called tinnitus, which is a ringing in my ear. It's constant, and it's annoying and frustrating, but it never goes away. Well, with money worries, it's the exact same thing. It's this constant ringing in the background. No matter what's happening, there's always this, you don't have enough. You're not adequate enough. What's funny is you don't need to change the amount of money. You just need to assert control over it. And that's what the system does. And that fear goes away. It opens up life, which then allows you to assert who you want to be, which then makes you see that money is a tool, not a representation of who you are, but allows you to be more of who you are. And it starts that positive spiral.
Yes. Mike, do you see a difference between women and men and their connection with money or their managing behavior?
Yeah, I do. So spousal partner relationships of some sort, someone will take a lead, man or woman, pays the bills and manages the money, but it becomes a parent-child relationship. In my household, I'm the one who manages the money, and then my spouse will come to me and say, "Hey, can I go to the spa today or something?" I was like, "Oh, you can't do that." It's like asking the kid asking for the lollipop. I'm like, "No, you can't have the lollipop." It becomes confrontational. So by using the system, we don't discuss it. My wife will just say, "Oh, I want to go to spa today," and we have an account called Spa because she loves that. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm going. I love guitars. That's my thing. So I want to buy a guitar. I don't have to ask her, hey, is it cool if I spend some money on guitar? I have a guitar account. If there's not enough money, I can't." So it brings that around. What's interesting about women, this is a little bit of an entrepreneurial slant. I found that when it comes to the devotion to managing numbers and stuff like that, that let me talk about men first. Men will generally concentrate on that at the compromise of other things, including friends and family. I'm going to spend a little less time with the kids, a little less because I got to earn more income and I got to focus more on the money management. Women will never sacrifice family or children. Women will sacrifice the sleep. So women are like, you know what? I have to take control over my money. The only thing I've left to cut is my sleep. And then it starts compromising health. So that's the interesting dynamic I've seen.
That's very interesting. And
Yeah,
I would agree with that because as women, I talk about this in my book, is that we think of everybody else first, right? Okay,
totally.
the house got to be okay, everything's good. And then you're right. What's left? The leftover, like the only time, like
It's
sometimes
sleep,
like
it's peace and sleep, which is the worst
with
compromise for health.
compromise. Like yeah. So Mike, tell me how you define courage.
Courage is being unabashedly, authentically, 100% you, 100% of the time.
I love that. Mike, thank you so much for sharing your brilliance, your time, your entrepreneurial spirit, your wisdom to create better lives for entrepreneurs and people. Thank you for coming. And to all of our listeners, remember to build the habit of success, build the discipline, no matter where you are in your financial journey, and start small because big things can happen. Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and would be so grateful if you could share it with someone else that could benefit from it. Let's remember to change our relationship to change itself and take aligned action. If we want to make meaningful changes in our lives, we need to embrace stepping into the next version of ourselves in the process. Remember, stop waiting to feel ready and start taking action today.